Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. This one is very exciting. It is the first game that we get to preview where Thomas Tuchel will have had a couple of days with his Chelsea players and with his Chelsea team in order to build the kind of team in his vision for the future. Before we get into anything though, there are a lot of new people here on GBFC who aren't yet subscribed to the channel, people that have been watching the news flood in this week regarding Thomas Tuchel, watching the videos regarding Chelsea. If you're not yet subscribed, then make sure you do so that you never miss a video. Tonight's game is, I say tonight's game, it's at 8 PM for me, which is a wonderful time for a kickoff, midday kickoff for Chelsea, at home to a Burnley side who have actually been in pretty good form in recent weeks. They've managed wins against Liverpool, who, well, everyone was beating Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, but still, pretty incredible feat to go to Anfield and ruin that very good home run that they were on. Not quite as good as the Chelsea of old, who paved the way for top quality home forms, but still, it was a great result for Burnley. They also beat Aston Villa. They're in some very good form, and it is the kind of fixture where you look at what happened for Wolves on Wednesday night, and Burnley and Sean Dyche, who's a manager, will have seen that. He will know that if his team are going to get something from the bridge today, they're going to have to go with a very similar game plan, which pretty much sets us up for a frustrating early lunchtime kickoff against Burnley because, well, Burnley are kind of the masters of playing this style, and they've been in the Premier League for a long time. Sean Dyche has been their manager for a long time. They know exactly how to go away from home against top clubs who like to dominate possession of the ball, frustrate them, and somehow come away with a result. That being said, there were enough positives in the way that we set out in the game against Wolves, and particularly the first 25 minutes or so, Chelsea actually looked very good. We were passing with a lot more tempo, there was a lot more. I'd say that one thing I did see in the first 25 minutes were the movements that we made off the ball was so much better than anything we've seen, probably for the past month or so. So with that being said, I think Chelsea will be able to have enough to go out there and try and nick the result today at home at Stamford Bridge. I say nick the result because, you know, 24 hours was a bit of a joke in terms of the amount of time that Tuchel had. 3 or 4 days, it's a lot better than 1 day, but it's still not a long time for Tuchel to really imprint his mantra, mentality, whatever you want to call it, into this Chelsea team. But I do feel as though it's a winnable game for Chelsea for sure. Burnley at home, you know, I think we've beaten them 3-0 the last couple of times we played. We went there last season away from home. Christian Pulisic got a hat-trick. And I think today they're going to be way more tentative than they were in any of those other games. And Chelsea, you could argue that our best performance of the season was that 3-0 away win at Turf Moor earlier on this season. Now, the team that I've gone with today, it is a 4-2-4 formation, which is something we've seen Tuchel use before. And again, I think it's a way, particularly with the striker situation, it's a way for us to be able to use an informed Tammy Abraham as well as trying to bring Timo Werner back into the starting 11 in a striker's role in order to boost his confidence. You know, Tuchel's come in and I'm pretty sure that part of his remit is to get the best out of new boys Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. I didn't actually give Havertz a green box in the game against Wolves. People were saying how brilliant he was. I'm not going to jump the gun and say he was brilliant. He was certainly a lot better than what we've seen from him recently. His movement was good. There were a couple of nice ghosty runs into the box and good touches as well. We're brilliant with Havertz. We know how brilliant he can be. So using the word brilliant wasn't something that I was willing to do based off of a 0-0 performance where he didn't manage to carve an opening into the Wolves defence or really force many saves out of Rui Patricio. So, first player that we're going to start with is of course the goalkeeper Eduard Mendy. Pretty much a given these days. I'm not even going to go through the whole comparison spiel that I normally do in match previews as to why Mendy is being picked over Kepa Arrizabalaga. The goalkeeper position, when you get midway through the season, normally, if there's some stability at your club, you know who your first choice team goalkeeper is if there is no injuries. So, Mendy is the first one, and we move into a back four. And I'm not going to waste any time, but I will explain my omissions and also the reasons why I've gone with this back four. Reece James, Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma, and Ben Chilwell. The first one is Reece James over Azpilicueta. We saw in the game against Wolves that Tuchel went with a 3 at the back system, something that he likes to do. Do I think playing 3 at the back against Burnley is going to benefit Chelsea, considering we know that Wolves set up that way, but We didn't manage to break through Wolves, so will Tuchel go with the same thing for this game against Burnley? I wouldn't be surprised if he did go with 3 centre-backs again, seeing Azpi on the right centre-back position, Silva in the middle, and either Rudiger or Zuma on the left. But I think we will change it today. I think the one thing I saw with the 3 at the back last time, and Chelsea have been linked with Dayot Upamecano, apparently we're already trying to talk to sign him for the summer. I think Tuchel will have looked at that and seen that Azpilicueta is very competent going forward on the right-hand side of that centre-back position, but Rudiger, playing on the left, wasn't necessarily as fluid going forwards with overlaps as he would have liked a 3 centre-back formation to be. So, if it is going to be that, it will probably be Azpi, Silva, Zuma, but I've gone with 4 at the back today. I've gone with a very attacking Chelsea side to try and break down this low block that Burnley are inevitably going to bring. And I've gone with James because, well, I just think we need his creativity going forward. He does bring us such more of a dominant attacking outlet than Cesar Azpilicueta does. Azpi I thought was decent in that game against Wolves, but that being said, Reece James comes back in, Silva and Zuma. You know, the whole Rudiger thing, I don't want to sit here trash talking him. You know, we've all had our opinions this week on Tony Rudiger. Some of the players came out and defended him. There's conspiracy theories about that one as well. Don't want to talk about that too much more, but I just think Zuma's a better centre-back. And I think the Silva-Zuma pairing was so successful when Chelsea went on that unbeaten run. And, you know, Zuma, his form did drop, but I wouldn't say it dropped to a level where I'm confident to put Rudiger in ahead of him every single game. I think we've seen Zuma's ability going forward this season has been able to get Chelsea a goal from set pieces, which is something we might have to rely on again today. And Thiago Silva, I think, is probably the first defender's name, apart from Chilwell, on the team sheet at this moment in time. I thought he was brilliant again against Wolves. And then Ben Chilwell, he speaks for himself. Chelsea's #1 left-back, and I think under Tuchel, whether he's playing as a wing-back or as a left-back, I think we're certainly going to get the best out of him in an attacking sense. We then move into a midfield duo. This is not an easy one because, again, I've got this little personal thing where I think Billy Gilmour deserves a start, but don't think he's going to get it in this game. N'Golo Kante is back fit, but Tuchel also hinted to the fact that he might not actually start him in this game just because he doesn't want to rush him back. We've seen what happens when you rush N'Golo Kante back from injury. He's not able to give 110%, which is normally what he does. And it's also a thing where the age he's at now, he's getting closer to the latter years of his career. And if you start rushing a player who has the same importance on the field as N'Golo Kante back, then you risk that, well, you risk the bloody risk, don't you? I don't know what I'm talking about here. It's an early start for me today. You risk the risk of getting an injury for N'Golo Kante, which you do not want to do. So, that being said, I've gone with a midfield 2 of Mason Mount and Mateo Kovacic. You've got that hard tackling side of Mateo Kovacic in there. You've got the industry that Mason Mount has, and this week Tuchel came out and said that despite dropping him in that game against Wolves, he solely went for experience. It was the most unfair selection he could have had, and he also said how great of a player he believes Mason Mount is, and how he's a big part of his plans. So, firmly expect him to get straight back into the team today. Maybe it's a 4-3-3 and we see one of the players that I've played further forward playing in a bit of a deeper role, or a change of personnel. But I think Mason Mount and Kovacic could definitely do that job with the wingers that I've chosen, tracking back and helping. The 2 wingers I've gone for are Callum Hudson-Odoi and Christian Pulisic. I think we saw the versatility of Callum Hudson-Odoi in that game against Wolves, where he's given a right wing-back's role for the first time probably ever in his Chelsea career in the first team. And he did very, very well. I thought he was the best player that Chelsea had on the pitch, and it shows. Tuchel comes in, and despite picking a team of experience, the fact he started Callum Hudson-Odoi, played him virtually all the way through, was a brilliant sign of confidence in him. And I think that Callum is playing with such a confidence at the moment where I actually feel as though Callum is looking more likely to be the magic man in this side, even ahead of Christian Pulisic at the moment, who doesn't quite look at his absolute best that we know he can be, but he's such a good player. I always say this, I think if Pulisic is fit, he always needs to be starting in this side. So Pulisic is on the left, and then I've gone with the 2 strikers, Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham. I think the thing I liked about watching Tammy play in the game against Wolves in the minutes that he had was he looked as though all of the little intricate touches and movements off the ball were benefiting Tammy's play. You know, some people say that he's not the best with his back to goal, but not necessarily in the final third, but when Tammy does drop deeper, he's very good with the ball at his feet. You see nice little passes, nice little layoffs for his teammates, and I think whether it will be Tammy playing slightly deeper or Timo Werner playing slightly further back or vice versa, I think with those two on the pitch at the same time, they're able to get the best out of one another. Timo Werner doesn't have this sole responsibility of being the only striker. Maybe sometimes he can afford to have that dodgy first touch that we sometimes see from Timo, because Tammy can pick up the pieces for him. There are two players to do that striker's job, and I think considering Tuchel has done that in the past with Paris Saint-Germain, with their abundance and plethora of attacking talents in Paris, I think we could see him go with something similar today as Chelsea try to break down a resilient and informed Burnley side. We know with Thomas Tuchel that there is going to be surprises. We have been so used to seeing the 4-3-3, we were calling upon the 4-2-3-1, and I think with Tuchel, when it comes to making a change, I don't think he's going to go back to a 4-2-3-1 that we have used before. He's either going to use a 3 at the back with wing-backs, or we might see him go with a 4-2-2-2 or the 4-2-4 that I have suggested in today's video. It's an exciting time to be a Chelsea fan. I have been absolutely blown away by the quality of the interviews that are coming out from Thomas Tuchel so far. He's been brilliant. He said all of the right things. I like his energy. I'm enjoying his charisma in his press conferences and interviews. And I hope today he can get his first win as Chelsea boss before we go into a couple of away games. But my prediction for this match, I think it's going to be tough. I think Chelsea will have to defend well when Burnley do counter and go on the attack. That can be a dangerous side, and it is going to be very difficult to break them down. If we get an early goal, then I think we might score a couple, but if we don't, which I'm not fully confident yet that I can say, yeah, Chelsea are going to go and get a goal in the 9th bloody minute, although they might do it now. I've said that. It wouldn't be the first time here on GBFC. I'm going to go with a 1-0 home Chelsea win. 3 points today is absolutely everything I need. I want to keep seeing that energy that we saw in the opening 25 minutes, but 3 points is everything. You know, results have been crazy this week in the Premier League. Again, Chelsea need to start bouncing back, getting in touch with the top 4, and I think we will do it today at home to a Burnley side in form. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on my starting 11 in the comments down below. And as always, let me know your score prediction and expectations for this game in the comments. Tuchel's second game as manager. We're really getting into the thick of things now. Come on, you Blues.